Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Rivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of a heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we're talking about the new Netflix original. We're talking about Red Notice.
We're talking about Red Notice. We're talking about Dwayne Johnson. We're talking about Ryan Reynolds. We're talking about Gal Gadot. They're the stars of Red Notice, guys.
Yes, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the only star who's also known as The Rock.
Yeah, he is the only star also known as The Rock, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all saying things.
We're all on the same page.
We're all on the same. I'm just making sure that we're all on the same page here.
That we know who Dwayne. You think people didn't know that his name was Dwayne Johnson?
Yeah.
Is that was your concern?
Just checking in at the house.
Checking in at the house.
Just making sure everything's good, making sure everybody knows who Dwayne is,
Who
DJ. I know that we're tight with DJ.
We're tight
so we
with
call him
DJ.
DJ, but we want to make sure that everyone else knows.
I mean, it's getting to the time of year where he wants to be called Dwanta Claus. I don't know if you know about this on his Instagram. It doesn't work.
I say Dwanta Claus.
You say Dwanta?
Dwanta.
Dwayne.
You did a
Dwayne.
Dwanta.
Yeah,
I'm
that
going to do a
wouldn't
Dwanta.
Yeah, I'm pronouncing it not like his name. You're right.
But either way, it's not good. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
I love the
It's
spirit of
forced.
it. I love the spirit of it.
I love Christmas spirit.
Love the spirit of and The Rock's Insta, that's a gift that gives year round. Like that is, if you ain't following The Rock on Insta, you're not even doing Insta. Like that's not.
He's Dwanta Claus all year round.
Yeah, in many ways.
In many ways.
But especially in Christmas or
bit
near
does
the
not.
holidays when he tries to do Dwanta Claus and it just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I'm
Doesn't have a
surprised.
flow.
I'm surprised Ryan hasn't brought it up with him and like workshopped it with him a little.
Ryan, I know you're listening.
Ryan, we know you love this podcast.
You've got to help DJ with this, Ryan.
You're a marketing genius. You crush it all the time.
You and your ad company, you've got to help Ryan with this. You've got to help DJ with this. Ryan, you've got to help DJ
Ryan,
with
you
this.
need to help DJ.
Somebody help somebody here.
Somebody. Do it.
We're talking about Red Notice this
movie
week
Red Notice.
on the podcast. It is a new release. It is a Netflix original. Since it is a new release, as we do when anytime it is a new film or TV show, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review. So in case you're on the fence about watching it, not sure if it's worth your time, not sure if it's your thing, we're going to give you a quick hit of spoiler-free review. Then once you hear the theme song, that's when we're going to be getting into the spoiler-filled section. So spoiler warning once we hit that section. So spoiler-free review. Diana, start with a simple question. Did you like it?
I really liked it. This is Diana's jam. This is con, action, adventure, treasure hunt, buddy cop, comedy. This is everything Diana likes. The only thing not here that I love is a sidekick, but a buddy can be Ryan feels like the sidekick, even though he also feels like the main lead. It's a very weird line he's walking in this movie, but it's very fun. Ryan's fun. Gal Gadot's beautiful. The Rock is very charming. The action's really good. It's peppy. It moves along. It knows what it is. I have severe problems with the last 10 minutes. And the rest of the movie is very, very strong, and it is totally my jam. I feel #blessed in the year 2021 to get two Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson treasure movies in the same year, along with Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I guess Jungle Cruise is kind of a treasure movie.
And I loved Jungle Cruise, so I am just thriving in 2021 on these films. I'd give it a love if not for the last 10 minutes. So it was a really, really high like. Andrew, how about you?
I did not dislike the last 10 minutes as much as you. It wraps up a little quickly for me, but I'm a high like. I'm with you, not borderline love. Like a few little flaws or foibles here and there, but I had a good time top to bottom. It is incredibly rare, difficult, maybe impossible for me to have ever not enjoyed a Dwayne movie. Like I've never seen Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, our friend DJ. I've never seen a movie with him in it and not had some form of a good time. Like I'm having a blast through all this. Everyone is incredibly charming and likable. It's a fun spy thriller with twists and turns, but also being formulaic at the same time. It doesn't reinvent anything. It is not necessarily groundbreaking, but it is a fun popcorn movie that knows what it is and I think accomplishes it beginning to end, and everyone's giving a fun performance.
Everyone's giving a fun performance. They're all playing to their strengths. All three leads are they are crushing what they were hired to do.
Yes.
And I do love Ryan and Dwayne together just because, as you said, there's no Rock movie that doesn't suck. But even though Ryan's always good, some of his movies tend to suck.
Yeah.
So putting him in a Rock movie is just, you're going to have gold.
Right.
It's going to be gold, Jerry.
Yeah.
It's going to be gold.
Yeah, The Rock is a good straight man to Ryan. When Ryan is riffing and giving lines, The Rock is an action star who actually can have a sense of humor about himself, which a lot of action stars are wildly insecure about. So I I think these two play off of one another particularly well.
Yeah, and Ryan is also an action star, but is not afraid of comedy in any way, obviously, and is okay and like doesn't mind losing a fight or whatever. But like you do have to remind, like sometimes I do have to remind myself, I'm like, oh yeah, he's Green Lantern and Deadpool, like he's a full-on action star, but he just is so much more focused on the comedy. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, Ryan just doesn't have the ego that most action stars
No
have.
ego whatsoever. He'd be in every Fast and Furious film. He'd lose every fight.
He would not.
That would
Yeah.
be his running gag.
Yeah.
He loses every fight in the Fast and Furious franchise.
That is a weird thing about Ryan Reynolds for a man who plays, as much as like Deadpool is like an anti-hero, for a man who plays a superhero and is an action star, and is incredibly fit and in shape and does like a reasonable amount of his own stunts and is active participant. He does not mind being the full-on whipping boy in most of his movies. Like the fact that he plays the role of like just like little whipping boy so frequently and casually and with like charm and humility, like it really doesn't seem to affect him in a particularly ego-driven field of acting and being an action star. I can't really, other than like him and Channing Tatum, I can't really think of anyone else who are like muscular, in shape, heroic leading men who are also willing to take that kind of blow to the ego the way Ryan Reynolds can.
Yeah, because I'm also thinking like Hitman's Bodyguard. He has an extended I'm being tortured scene, which is not like a I'm very tough torture scene.
Yes.
It is just I am screaming in pain for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah, and that had a sequel. That's 2 movies of him just being a whipping boy to other less in shape action stars.
He will do it for the comedy. He does it for the lulz.
Yeah, it's good. I
respect it.
Yep. All right, so
Canada's finest.
Canada's fine. So we like Red Notice.
We really like
We're on board for it. Can it be spoiled?
Yes. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I agree it can. It is a spy movie in the history and tradition of not spy movie, heist movies. Movie.
It's a heist treasure hunt.
Heist treasure hunt con movie. So like there are no twists and turns that reinvent the wheel, but it is the type of thing where it's like you want to be along for the ride.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, there's gonna be a twist, but what will it be?
Right.
It's just that.
Yeah.
So we won't tell you what that is till after the theme music.
Absolutely. So I think we're both a recommend. We both like it. We both think it can be spoiled. And now let's get into the everything on Red Notice. Let's get into the spoiler-filled section. Let's talk about it. All right, so now we are on into the spoiler-filled section of Red Notice. Yeah, I think it's advertised as a heist movie. I think it is fairly straightforward in that it's a heist movie, but not necessarily in the way that I thought it was.
I actually didn't find it was advertised as a heist movie. I've only really seen one trailer, and it really felt like from that trailer, I actually thought Ryan Reynolds and The Rock were both cops trying to catch Gal Gadot. And she was stealing stuff, but they were just trying to catch her. The first trailer did not in any way make me think Ryan Reynolds was a thief.
Now, I thought all 3 of them were competing thieves trying to steal the same thing.
Also very fun.
Okay.
But I did not get that impression from the trailer.
Yes.
So the trailer didn't highlight the thiefiness. It highlighted the chasiness.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Of like trying to find each other over and over again, because we go to about 6 different locations in this film.
Yes. For those of you who didn't see it and maybe are just jumping into the spoiler section because you don't care, you're here to have a good time. The Rock is playing, and I'm air quoting here, a FBI agent who is chasing Ryan Reynolds, who is trying to beat Gal Gadot to get a special priceless egg. But it turns out The Rock, in the end, the big twist is the Rock's character is actually in a relationship with Gal Gadot, and they're working together, and they are con people conning the con person who is trying to con the con people. And it's just this big snake eating its own tail of a con.
Yeah, it's a fun idea, I think, especially because they established like Ryan Reynolds works alone. So they were kind of like, we need information he has, but he doesn't work with anyone, so we got to con him in this like he thinks he's a cop, so we'll trust him kind of way. It works. It absolutely works.
Yeah, and I think it especially works because they are going through this kind of a cliche plot between The Rock's character and Ryan Reynolds. So like they were going through this like we are two people from different worlds, but we're not that different if we really look at it. And can we learn to get along and develop a brotherhood? And it's cliche in its own regard, in the sense that it is a very predictable, scripted way for two people to grow to like one another, and that is the intention of The Rock, who later turns out to be a con man. I like that. I like the movie within the movie that The Rock's character John Hartley wrote a bit of a trite buddy comedy for him and Ryan Reynolds' character Nolan to go through.
Yeah, The Rock's character definitely was like, how do I get a criminal to trust me? And then he just like watched Fast and the Furious and he saw Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, and Paul Walker was a cop and Vin Diesel was a criminal. And he was like, oh, this is what I got to pretend I'm a cop. And then the criminals will trust me. Yeah, they stole the plot of Fast and Furious.
This is kind of the plot of the first Fast and Furious.
And then
You're
they
right.
become criminals together. But he was never actually a cop, is the twist here.
Yes. But he was a criminal who watched a Fast and Furious and decided to enact that plot.
To pretend to be a cop.
Wow. I never really pieced that together.
I mean, we only just watched the film.
That's true. I didn't piece it together
While watching. Yeah.
During.
So yeah, it is very fun that this plot they've come up with within the movie. It is formulaic, but also like I just don't think you see that twist very often, especially the twist at the end being like none of them were evil. Like no one like takes out a gun and shoots someone and it was like I was evil the whole time. It's like we were all con people, but we were nice. We didn't shoot anyone we didn't have to shoot.
Yeah.
We didn't kidnap your family and torture them to get you to do what we wanted. We gave you a friend to confide in.
Yeah.
And we think that's kind of us.
It does feel like a maybe slightly more violent, like, or maybe just more sincere version of like a National Treasure or something like that, where it's like, you know, in your average like heist spy, we've got to get a thing movie, there is the like, well, we only want to steal the Declaration of Independence because if we steal it before they steal it, then they didn't steal it, and then we're good. But this movie is just very much a like, everybody's doing shit. Who cares who's good or bad? It's all pretty carbon neutral, our fucking footprint on the whole world right now. So let's just all do some stuff.
Yeah, even the guy who's like bad, the Italian guy they steal the egg from.
Yeah.
They were like, he's so evil, he strangles people, and I'm like, seems like not that violent a way to hurt somebody.
It's
like,
still a pretty PG-13 way to do a torture murder.
You're not pulling out fingernails, you're not doing weird genital stuff. Oh, you strangle people. Well, okay.
Yeah, like, and even
like
when
you couldn't even get your hands around the Rock's neck. Like, I don't think
he's a tough man to strangle.
He wasn't faking not strangling the Rock, but I don't think he could.
Yeah,
because the neck was too big.
You can't do it. You just can't get it.
He just flexed it, and it wouldn't go smaller.
You can't do it.
So, way to go, Rock.
Yes, yeah. Also,
you conditioned yourself out of a strangling.
Yeah. The Rock is a man who has been chokeslammed by The Undertaker multiple times in his human life. He has been lifted off the ground by a 7-foot-tall man pretending to be an undead zombie and held there and slammed down. You can't choke out The Rock.
You can't.
Not with one hand like that. You need some accessories to choke out The Rock.
One of my mild complaints, that shouldn't have been what broke Ryan Reynolds to give away the information. Like The Rock was fine.
Yes, The Rock's gonna be okay.
He can't be choked.
He's been chokeslammed by an undead man. We're fine.
We're absolutely fine.
Yeah. But like a fun movie top to bottom. Like the performances are really what's carrying this with just a lot of charm, a lot of charisma. I would say like we could have gotten Gal Gadot into the fold a little bit sooner.
She is very excluded. Like one of her longest scenes, the other guys aren't even in. It's her and that cop with his mouth taped shut.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's like just her on her own. And no offense to Gal Gadot, but she's not a strong enough performer to carry a scene on her own.
Right.
She's very good with a group, and she's very sexy, and she looks great, and she's very playful, but just doing an entire monologue scene, she's not good enough for, and they didn't have enough ways to bring her into the story.
Yeah, and frankly, like, none of the actors in this movie are good enough for that. Like, I love The Rock, but if you were like, this is The Rock's monologue to a man with duct tape on his mouth, I would be like, he's charming, but I can't sit through a scene that long of The Rock doing that. But this movie is kind enough to be like, instead of a man with tape on his mouth, The Rock gets Ryan Reynolds to play off of at all times. And Gadot doesn't really get that. And I think the movie just doesn't quite know if it wants to be this trio ensemble off the top or if The Rock is the main character. And in the last 10 minutes, which we can kind of like delve into a bit more later in the episode, but it feels like Ryan Reynolds becomes the main character. So this film isn't quite sure if it's an ensemble or if The Rock is the main or Ryan Reynolds is the main. But either way, they're definitely not confident enough to get Gal Gadot in there faster.
Yeah, I would never say it was an ensemble. I do feel like in my heart Ryan Reynolds was the main. Only because The Rock is pretending to be a cop for so long that Ryan Reynolds drives all the plans and all the stealing and all the thievery and has like comes up with all of it. So he feels like the main guy for most of it for me.
Right.
But it's definitely like either he's the lead or they're co-leads. And Gal Gadot is the third lead, but I wouldn't describe it as an ensemble.
Yeah.
She's
No, I'm
not
with
there
you there.
frequently enough. I would like to. I don't think they make these available because we're saying like it's all performance. I really need to someday see a shooting script compared to what actually ends up on the page in a Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah.
Like so many of these takes were Ryan Reynolds, like unless he goes over the script himself and makes it official. Like these are Ryan Reynolds ad-libbing amazing things. Like
The hairnet line.
the hairnet line.
Dwayne
was
Johnson
so
in
funny.
a hairnet and him being like, "Why are you wearing it? You're bald." I cannot conceive of an Earth where that was in the script. I just cannot conceive of an Earth where that was in the script. That has to have been a wardrobe and costume department one was like, we need to quickly and visually show that they are in a kitchen right now without an establishing shot. We put them in an apron and we put hairnets on them, and that conveys the information. And that is a smart move from wardrobe and costume to do that. But for Ryan Reynolds to play off of that is
Why are
that
you
is
wearing
something
a hairnet? It is
special.
So funny. And I've seen clips of the only movie I've seen them actually show the behind the scenes of is sadly
Blade
enough
Trinity.
the Blade Trinity,
Of
where
course.
they keep the camera rolling and he does 15 different takes of a reaction to Blade. And Blade's not even there. Wesley Snipes did not come to set that day.
Wesley Snipes did not
But
show
whatever Blade's line was supposed to be 15 different reactions. And I'm just like, now that he's actually like a star, executive producing, like how many takes must he get that if he wants them? He'd be like, I could do something funnier.
Yeah.
And it's not all him. Like some of it is in the script. Like I think one of the funniest sequences to me is actually the fight with Gal Gadot in the egg room.
Mm-hmm.
I really love this whole like I'm just trying to get the egg and run away, and I don't actually want to fight vibe in this fight. I think it's very, very funny. He can't break the glass case like the two of them can.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's willing to be the whipping boy and the weakest one in the room.
Yeah.
But he still like does a whole action scene just avoiding being hit and trying to grab an egg. And it's so funny. So that was on paper, and that's the stunt team and the director. But like so many one-off lines have to just be Ryan Reynolds
And
Reynoldsing around.
One thing I was even thinking in that egg scene in like the trophy room or whatever, that I was thinking in the moment, and in retrospect with the final twist, it makes so much more sense too, is that I was like, he's the only one getting hit. Like Gal Gadot's character and Dwayne Johnson, like they're just dancing around one another.
Mm-hmm.
And even in that first sequence, like Ryan Reynolds gets hit 4 times just trying to grab the egg. And I'm like, this is hilarious that you don't want any part of the fight and you're getting hit. And then later with the twist being those two are working together and you're just getting hit. You're the only one getting hit really hard during this
because
fight.
they wouldn't hit each other. I mean, The Rock even says, take it easy to her. And when she does like the first hit.
Ah, okay.
And she says, I am going easy. And that was one of my first inclinations that there was an old switcheroo about to happen.
Interesting.
May I
Okay.
ask you if you detected the switcheroo, what it would be? There was obviously going to be something.
I knew there was going to be a switcheroo, but I didn't know what or when. I didn't know where we were going to play this.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I
Yeah.
was on the fence because I couldn't tell if Gal Gadot was working with The Rock or if Gal Gadot was working with the lady cop.
I thought the lady cop was going to switch. I did think the lady cop was going to switch at some point. But I don't think I saw Gal and DJ working together.
Okay, I did see it, but Also, for the only other reason was that I cannot figure out why we kept tipping off the cop, to be honest.
Okay.
I tried to analyze it. Like, I went through it. I'm like, I know why we needed her in the first museum scene. Because The Rock needed actual cops there. Like, he was a fake cop. He needed cops with him. So he had to call the real police.
Because he was out of his jurisdiction. He didn't have a badge. And
he wasn't actually a cop anyway.
Uh-huh.
And then in Bali, when they actually arrest Ryan Reynolds, I'm like, okay, I know why you're still with this woman. But I have no idea why Gal Gadot kept tipping her off of where they were.
Ooh, that is a good point.
Because by the time they're at the bunker, unless that cop just actually genuinely did a good job, like, they've gotten Ryan Reynolds' third egg. Like, they don't need the cops anymore.
I think at the bunker they imply that, like,
she
genuinely found them. Well,
then I don't know why they needed her at the Italian guy's house.
I don't know either for that one.
Because Gal Gadot was working
party
with the
heist
Italian guy, and
Yeah.
like they didn't need the danger of the cops coming. So that one I couldn't figure out why they were tipping the police off.
Interesting.
So that's my one like, whenever there's a movie like this, you know, they go through how they did it all and what the big twists were, and I'm just like, that one I don't know why we did that.
Yeah, no, that one doesn't quite track. I think that, like, the thing that doesn't quite track for me is I'm like, you don't have enough time in the day to do these amount of long cons. Like, to be like, I am romancing / fake partnering this Italian guy at his party to get his second egg to double cross him once we get the coordinates for the third egg, which is part of a longer con I've started previously with a fake cop who is actually my actual partner. I'm like, there are 4 honeypots, 2 long cons, like, within the span of a day, you are managing a full-time job and 4 to 5 relationships that are real or fake. And there are just not enough human hours in the day to do a con that long.
There especially aren't, because I will throw down. It takes so long to look as good as Gal Gadot looks. It takes 3 hours out of your day.
That's 3 hours gone.
That's 3 hours
right
gone.
away.
You got to work out. You got to shower. You got to do your hair. You got to do your makeup. 3 hours gone. Every single day.
Right away.
And on top of that, you got a long con. You got a honey pot. You got to look at schematics and like email the police and break into the police and kick a guy in the face. It's too much to do.
It's way too much.
You can't have it all.
It's too much con.
It's too much con. Like,
too much
Ryan
con
Reynolds,
for even 2 people to handle.
Ryan Reynolds, I believe, could do everything he did because he lived alone and he only did art thieves. And he didn't con anyone. He was like, I just look at schematics.
He was like, I just come up with a plan and I just go for it. And it doesn't always work.
And I usually get caught and then I escape. And I'm like, I like that about him. I do like the differing styles of like, he gets caught and escapes and she never gets caught.
Yes, yeah.
Is like a fun, like, we have different styles of doing this. Like, I take bigger risks because I don't mind being captured.
But she has a partner who is making sure that she doesn't get captured by pretending to be the authorities, so that helps out a good bit as well. Yeah.
I will say the only other thing I guess I know why, but I was very confused of why Gal Gadot actually electrocuted The Rock, I guess.
Yeah, you could have just pretended.
Because when Gal Gadot was like, I'm going to get you, Ryan Reynolds, to tell me the information by torturing The Rock, I'm like, oh, it's just you don't want to torture anyone, so you're going to fake torture The Rock because it's your boyfriend. Like, you're genuinely nice. You don't want to electrocute this Ryan Reynolds for the information. But then apparently she actually electrocuted her boyfriend, The Rock, on his penis.
Yes.
Which, like, just electrocute Ryan Reynolds if you're electrocuting somebody.
And at a pretty high voltage.
She cranked it.
Yeah, like the fact that they had insert shots where they show a close-up of the dial getting cranked. Because otherwise they could have just had her afterwards be like, it was just a light little voltage. Like, we play like that at home. Like, that you could joke it off to be like, ooh, it was just, she did do it, but it was just like, a little bit. It was just a little bit.
It was just a little bit. It was just like,
yeah.
like a static shock.
It was just a little bit. But instead, they show the dial getting cranked.
Yeah, like, I feel like when they get home later, The Rock's gonna, like, he should get to electrocute her. Yeah, like, that's not fair.
There's electricity burns on there.
Yeah,
that's bad.
He's got to be like, just electrocute Ryan Reynolds. What the fuck was all this bullshit?
Why did we have there were 2 different double crosses happening in that room just now?
Yeah, why didn't you just knock out the Italian earlier and then not torture me at all?
And why is your poison mediocre at best?
He woke up so fast.
So fast. And twice. It's not good poison.
I assumed it was a knockout drug and not a poison. They are pretty nonviolent. That seems to be like their thing.
They are relatively nonviolent.
Like
You're right there.
They'll fight you, but they don't want to shoot you or kill you. They are just thieves. They're very
Interesting.
leveragey in that way, which I really like. I love the show
I
Leverage.
thought you might like that.
I mean, this is what I said. I said this movie was my jam.
Right.
And it's because I like things like Leverage.
Yeah. And it is very it's very passive, but in a playful way. Like they are kind. Even like they establish it fairly quick in the movie. That opening sequence at the museum with Ryan Reynolds fighting his way up the scaffolding. It's like even the guy who falls from the highest height gets tangled in some ropes or whatever, which was coincidental, but it does set the precedent of like, this is not the movie where we see someone fall off of a building.
Yeah, you're
even
not
when
killing people to steal art.
Yeah, even when he's shooting a Gatling gun from a helicopter, it's like it's some G.I. Joe, like, oh no, it shot around their body and it made a shape in the ground in the shape of them that they fell through and then made a whoopsie.
I think there's even a line when the Italian guy is like tipsy and shooting a gun at them, and like he's like fired the entire barrel, like he's out of bullets, and Ryan Reynolds to the Rock is like, did you get hit? And he's like, no. He's like, that's impossible. He's right there. He's 2 feet away.
You're so big. You're the Rock.
And neither of us got hit with any bullets.
Yeah.
So the movie did draw attention to it in a fun way. Also, off the top, a very fun trope reversal I liked was Ryan Reynolds grabs a little electric bike. The Rock gets in this crazy Porsche, and you think there's going to be a huge chase scene, and he immediately gets hit by a car in traffic because you can't just drive into traffic. I thought that was so funny.
There was a humility to that I was surprised to see from The Rock. That actually seems like something that, again, they would do to Ryan Reynolds. But it was a nice trope reversal for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's a good point. The Rock, although
doesn't normally do incompetence, at least not at this point in his career. It did remind me a little bit to the beginning of The Other Guys, which is
aim from the bushes.
Which is a fantastic film. If you haven't watched The Other Guys, watch The Other Guys, by the way. Him and Samuel L. Jackson, The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson having the best time in the beginning of that movie. But it felt like that kind of like playful incompetence, which has been a while since I've seen The Rock be willing to portray in a movie.
And maybe he was willing to do that because he is lying at that point in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't tell the truth until like the last 10 minutes. So
Right.
until that point, he's just supposed to be a cop, not one of the greatest art thieves in the world.
Interesting.
So I don't know if he was trying to catch Ryan Reynolds in that moment. Although he does just want to send him to jail and then team up with him. So he probably would have liked catching him earlier.
Yeah, I think so. I think he did actually want to catch Ryan Reynolds in
genuinely
that
got
moment.
away on that one. Well, good for Ryan. He didn't get a lot of wins in this movie. He got double crossed a lot, and all his eggs got stolen.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm glad he got that win. He got away.
No one got anything by the end of the movie, but like Ryan had a particularly tough go. I think.
He's you can't be on your own.
Although maybe The Rock had a tough go as well. He got electrocuted and beat up and sent to prison and like beat up in prison. He had a rough time.
This is what I'm saying about how they're kind of kind, because throughout the entire we're conning Ryan Reynolds, The Rock is also genuinely protecting him, but also needs his information. So It's a
Right.
double-edged are you being nice or do you need the information he has?
Interesting.
And we'll never know the answers unless there's a red notice too.
We'll see. Well, let's take a quick break in the podcast to thank one of our wonderful sponsors of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at Nordvpn.
Nordvpn, they're going to protect your cybersecurity and let you go across this world wide web to any country's content that you would like to enjoy.
Yeah.
I was going to say stuff, and I don't know why that word would have been wrong.
Stuff would have been right, but content is a more web-specific type of stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go with content.
Let's say content.
NordVPN, you'll get all the world's content.
It helps you access the content. It puts the world in World Wide Web, which is the thing that I like about it, because you're going to be able to change your location to different countries in the world, which is also a great benefit for security as well. If you were using, say, a public Wi-Fi or something like that, you were traveling, it's going to help hide your identity, hide where you are and where you're coming from, increased web security, which is fantastic. And it's also just super easy to set up and use. You're not going to have any problems. It's a one-button type of thing. Like you can install this on your phone, on your laptop. Here in our house, we've got it on an Android device, Windows, Apple, and all of these devices, we're just pressing a button and it's done.
It is so easy. It's a one-button install, and then it's a one-button connect to a drop-down list of whatever country you want to connect to. Let me tell you my favorite part about having a VPN.
Lay it on.
But NordVPN. It is very fun. I like when I go to a website and I get that pop-up that doesn't know I'm using a VPN, and it says, you should use a VPN. We can tell you're in Norway. And I'm like, I'm not in Norway at all.
Sucker!
Nordvpn, fooled you.
Fooled you, ad.
That's my favorite ad to get when
Yeah.
I'm on my VPN, when they don't think I have one.
Yeah.
So that's how good it is. The ad people don't know you have it.
Yes, one of the things that I like too, just as a fun little side effect of the VPN.
Love it.
Sometimes I'm like, I'm in the UK. Wink. I'm not in the UK. But then like Twitter's trending topics will be like flotsam football clubs sent scabbardoo, and I'm like, none of these are human words. England, you're bananas. All of your trending topics are basically gibberish. But like Twitter will be like, don't you love flotsam football club? And I'm like, I have no idea if any of these are real things, because you just got fooled by the fool people.
You got fooled by them. NordVPN is equivalent to buying a cup of coffee every month. It's a small price to pay for premium cybersecurity. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if NordVPN is not for you, there's no risk. It's a risk-free VPN adventure you will take yourself upon.
Well, that is a fun adventure. So check it out. Grab NordVPN's Cyber Month deal. Go to nordvpn.com/TFS or use promo code TFS to get up to 73% off your NordVPN plan, plus a bonus gift. So once again, go to nordvpn.com/TFS, use code TFS to get 73% off your NordVPN plan, plus a bonus gift. And thank you, NordVPN, for your support.
Thank you so much, NordVPN.
And now, back to Red Notice.
Well, now that we've talked about our sponsors, let's talk about some products in this film.
Oh yeah, there was a decent amount of product, but I didn't find it obtrusively so.
Not obtrusively so. They're all very funny.
Okay.
I think The Rock having his tequila in the bar.
Oh, yeah. Personal brands is funny.
It's funny.
Aviation gin for Ryan Reynolds.
Aviation gin, The Rock had his tequila. Gal Gadot needs some merchandise, and I feel like she probably has like a scent.
I think she might have been using a Huawei phone. She's a Huawei person.
Oh, is she a Huawei?
She's a Huawei person.
Okay.
So I don't know if Huawei's
that.
are still legal anymore. I don't even know what's going on with Huawei.
It's definitely not as personalized to her personality as
No.
this is the brand I own of tequila or
she's a
gin.
spokesperson for Huawei. Ryan owns Aviation. The Rock owns Terramana Tequila.
Tequila.
Yeah.
So she needs. That's the other reason it's not an ensemble. She doesn't
Right.
have her own liquor.
Signature liquor.
That's how
If
you
she
get
had-
to top billing.
If she had a wine, like if there was a Marlot and Godot or whatever. Gardomelo. Like that would be Gardomelo. That would be the ultimate. And then they could each drink their own personal liquor in the movie.
That would be amazing. In the sequel, they drink each other's. They mix it
Absolutely,
all up. They
absolutely.
do little musical chairs of personal products. And then my favorite though is the, I guess, implication that Coca-Cola, clearly shown the can in an extended scene. It's a Coca-Cola can of Coke.
They highlight the Coke.
It will decimate a fake egg.
Yes, not a real egg.
Not a real.
If that egg is real gold,
Oh,
Coke would run right off.
Okay, but if you 3D print an egg,
Yeah.
it will dissolve it to its core.
Yeah.
A can of Coke, not a bottle of acid. A can of Coke poured on a 3D printed egg will turn it to dust.
Yeah. You know that reputation Coke always likes to have. Coca-Cola. We're good on gold. That's always been their thing.
No, but this is Coca-Cola. We melt shit.
Yeah. Unless it's gold.
We didn't even
We're
show what
Coca-Cola.
happens with gold.
Don't worry about it. Nothing happens. It's Coca-Cola.
I'm worried about it. I have teeth. I have intestines. I drink Coca-Cola.
And that's good with gold. That's their catchphrase. Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, I need you to know I own no gold.
You should have gold teeth.
But I don't want gold teeth.
But that's how you
Coca-Cola.
survive the Coca-Cola. It's good with gold.
But even after all of this, I still really like Coca-Cola and I'm gonna drink it. But I will picture that egg
Just
liquefying.
melting.
Like the dude's face in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah,
it
really gets wrecked.
like it wasn't like, oh, some of the paint like scraped off a little. It must be fake. It was like, no, it's gone.
That's done.
It's dust.
That is absolutely done.
That was hilarious to me. And I think they had to pay Coke for that. Like, weird sponsorship choice.
Yeah, what I love in that scene is that, like, The Rock shows up, and he is this confident, air quote, FBI agent who's like, get me your thermal camera. See, there's no reflection of radiation, which is something that gold does, which is a very smart and scientific way. And then at that point, people who work at the museum should be like, oh, fuck. But instead, The Rock's like, you want to see some shit? Look at Coke melt this. If I'm the curator of the museum, I'm like, I actually have more questions than before now. I was with you, it was stolen, but now I want to know, what was that? Was that normal Coke? And are we all going to be okay?
I mean, also, I feel like the curator has to be like, whoa, not until we're sure it's not the real egg. Every time they let someone do this to what we have established is a $100 million egg.
Considerably expensive,
Considerably expensive. Let's just pour fucking Coke on it. Apparently, it will be fine to an egg, even though it melted plastic, a 21st century invention.
Yeah.
Although Ryan Reynolds just dropped his and it was fine.
It's a tough egg.
Those eggs do seem tough.
It seems like a tough egg.
Seems like it's really lasted through the
span of time. I have not looked up, and I have no idea if Cleopatra's eggs is an actual myth, but I don't know.
I've never heard of it, and it made me laugh every time because, like, if you're talking about like a woman's eggs, I'm like from her body.
Yeah.
It really gives the impression she birthed these eggs, or they took out her ovaries, and it's like, we're gonna make a new Cleopatra. We got the eggs.
Because when I think of jeweled eggs, I think of Fabergé eggs, which I think are like Russian gifts to czars. I can't remember what the backstory are.
They were Russian gifts to czars, I believe.
But like, they're actually pretty well built. Like, a lot of them are actually like, it's basically just a circular, but it's the same material as a crown. Like, it would be like solid gold and gems with like different artistic work done, but actually pretty tough to break.
Pretty tough to break.
Could handle a drop.
But also, when I think of Cleopatra's eggs, I know that Egyptians took their organs and put them in bottles and put them in their tombs. So when I'm like, oh, so they were the eggs.
The real eggs.
Her ovaries' eggs.
Sure.
When
Stuff
she
the
died.
eggs in there. Yeah.
Because that's how they actually had their burial processes.
Okay.
So, like, her eggs might be in there. We didn't crack any of those eggs open.
They might be. I won't disagree with that. So the eggs are a weird choice for Cleopatra's eggs.
If it's not an actual myth. I've never heard this myth.
I've not looked it up. I don't care to. Don't at me. We'll be fine.
You don't want those history buffs being like,
nah, we
the
good.
Nazis stole one?
I could just Google it after we're done recording.
But you won't.
I might actually.
Oh, well, now we're flip-flopping about the eggs.
No, I'm saying I'll Google it. You don't need to do it for me.
Oh, okay. We don't need the tweets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about the eggs. The one thing I will say that I did not like about this movie that I've actually found like both nauseating and exhausting was I was like the drone shots that they would do, where I'm like, I get it. You've got a drone cameraman. I get it. You hired a cinematographer for drones, which is a thing movies do sometimes now, and it is fucking exhausting. And you look like a YouTube video, and it really looks cheap and shit. It works for maybe once in a movie, but like every new location, they would squeak in a new drone shot where it's all, and it's a new trend. It's just this FPV drone where there's someone piloting a drone, and it's just your typical, like, it's small, it's got a 4K camera attached, but it's like, holy shit, look how fast this camera's going and so close to the water. But this movie couldn't afford a helicopter. Wink. It's like, it's a drone. Drones are common enough now that this isn't special, and it's actually moving so fast with so much shit in the foreground. It's legitimately kind of nauseating and vertigo-inducing to watch. It is very much like you're just dropping a 120 frame per second video game just in the middle of your movie for no reason other than being like, we're a cool new trendy movie and we have a drone cinematographer. I don't care. Use it when it's motivated and don't when it's not. But like, there's also like a bunch of like drone shit in that opening fight sequence where Ryan Reynolds is climbing up scaffolding in the museum. And it is just dizzying to look at, and just a traditional camera would have worked way better. Didn't need that drone shit. And then there's like drone establishing shots of like the party at the Italian's house, where it's like the drone is like whipping over a bunch of cars in the driveway as we go up to the door. And it's like, how did we get these camera angles? I know how. It was a drone. It's a drone. It looks shitty. It looks really cheap. I really hated all the drone photography in this.
I didn't notice it. Pretty much for the most part. I did notice it right off the top. It's like the very first shot. They like go down a street until they get to the museum. Mm-hmm. That was definitely like a long drone shot. Mm-hmm. But that was the only one I noticed. And I did remember thinking like, oh, it doesn't look quite real. I thought it was CG'd actually. I was like, oh, they CG'd like going into the museum. Okay. But it was probably a drone, as you said. But after that, I didn't really notice. It was like, those are kind of how I find movies always established. Like, we're in a new country. Here's water. I'm like, all countries have water, but okay.
And I agree. And I think it does work when it's a wide shot. But they were specifically going for these, what are now considered like very accomplished to get like trick shot FPV shots, where it's like they were 1 inch above the water. Can you fucking believe how close a helicopter would crash? Can you believe how much we did it? It's like, I would actually rather stock footage from a helicopter that just shows a coastal city. I honestly don't need it to whip 100 miles per hour 1 inch above the water, and it makes me kind of dizzy and sick, and I don't like it.
That's very fair, especially for an establishing shot. Like, if you are doing an action sequence and you're like, it's action-y time and it's motivated and we're going here and here, but for like this is where we are informational shot,
for
whipping around is
a
maybe
square room with scaffolding, and I'm like, okay, I just don't care. And they were whipping it like through the scaffolding. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, the person flying this drone is very talented, and I really just don't care. I really just don't care.
I didn't mind it for the most part. I didn't even notice.
Fair enough.
A thing that I questioned just storyline wise was I couldn't figure out why Ryan Reynolds. I know why Gal Gadot wanted all three things. Like, they were very expensive on their own. You could sell them to the Egyptian prince. But I didn't understand why Ryan Reynolds was so focused on getting the first two eggs when he knew where a giant Nazi bunker was, completely unrelated. Like, it seems like he had the Nazi bunker information for a long time, ever since he broke that watch.
That's a good point.
And he could have just gone straight to Nazi bunker and been like, I have hundreds of millions of dollars in art. Like, even he said that Mercedes-Benz was worth $25 million alone.
Right.
But then very rightly said he was going to burn it because it was made by Nazis. So that was nice.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I think it does reign true for his character, and it's not just lines of dialogue when they're like, he is insecure about being the number 2 most famous, and he wants to.
It's not
he wants to win.
Anything. That's
he wants
just
to win over
it.
her. Yeah, and also I think that like his understanding and lead of that Nazi treasure was he's got the lead from the watch, but it's just a location. He kind of found the dig site by accident thanks to The Rock. I don't think it was a sure thing. So I think it was I could go on the wild mystery goose chase that turned my father into an asshole.
Ooh.
Or I have the same information as my father, and it just made my father a worthless lunatic. Or I could try to be the best and one-up the bishop and get these eggs. And then maybe a day will come when I have to go look for this to win. But I do sincerely believe that he didn't like his dad, and also that he thought that might be a wild goose chase.
That's very interesting. I like that. And also, like, it's much safer to go into the jungle with The Rock than alone, because he didn't have anybody before. I wouldn't want to go into the jungle completely alone.
Oh, no, you shouldn't do that.
And look for a treasure. That's just asking for death.
Yes, of course.
Death will find you.
Now, when we did the flashback with the narration from Ryan Reynolds, when he's like talking about his dad's watch, the second time he talks about his dad's watch, and we get this flashback to a scene at his dad's house. Did you also think Ryan Reynolds was playing his own dad?
I absolutely thought Ryan Reynolds was playing his own dad. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Because he even had like an old-fashioned vest on.
That outfit was the worst possible thing to put on him.
If he's not playing his dad in this scene, which I thought, okay, we're doing a flashback. You're going to play your own dad. A little weird, but fine, whatever. Like, it makes it, you didn't have to hire a third person, whatever.
And they lit it a little bit different as well, which, like, in the tone of a movie, if it's like everywhere else, daylight is a little bit more orange hued, and then this flashback, it's a little bit more pure white. And it's like, oh, okay, like this lighting change also kind of tells me we are in a different time and a place now. Like we've transported.
But that different time was like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And you weren't playing your own dad. Yeah, they needed to put him in a really modern outfit. Like the outfit was nice, but it could have been like an 80s outfit. That was also nice.
Yes.
So they didn't put him in the right outfit. They lit it differently. They gave, and like the office is very old fashioned. It looked like he went into his dad's office that he hadn't gone into since he died like years and years ago. So yeah, it was very poorly set up that I was like, I don't understand. Is this the flashback of when he found the watch and then forgave you? Because he opens up the drawer and he finds the watch.
And earlier in the movie, you described like my dad found it in his drawer behind some old papers.
And I was like, that's pretty noticeable in a box right there. Your dad sucks.
Yeah. Unless it wasn't obvious, maybe his dad hadn't been at it in a while or whatever. But yeah, it really made it coded to seem like it was his dad.
Yes. So a huge directorial failure of that scene.
Yes.
I do like the reveal of that's how he knows where the third egg is. I like that he's always lying. Like his mom wasn't actually an Egyptologist, probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He just got coordinates in the watch. And like it was a good reason that he was the only one who knew where the egg was. It really was very like personalized information. Yeah, great reveals. A terrible flashback.
Mm-hmm.
For a bit, the movie feels like way more National Treasury. Like when you've got like a lock and it like an old bunker and the door pops open.
It gets more National Treasury as time passes. Like it starts with let's get an expensive egg for sale, and it does end with a special lock and Nazi gold.
Yeah.
So it turns way more Indiana Jones. And then Ryan Reynolds even like whistling the Indiana Jones theme at one point.
He?
Yeah, I don't know how they legally can do that. I guess it's just
if you whistle it.
If he does it just poorly enough, I guess. Then that works. But yeah, it becomes way more National Treasury as time goes.
Which is fine because National Treasure is great.
I'm okay with it. I think it's super fun. I think my only other negative was there were a couple times where the green screen and composite work is pretty bad. And just like some simple fucks up.
The bull didn't look great.
The bull looked
bad.
The bull scene looked like it was a Will Ferrell comedy where the Rock gets hit by a bull.
Yes, it did. It really did. And it didn't. I liked the idea a lot, like the banter about like, is it Jurassic Park or is it bulls? But like that felt like the other guys.
Yeah.
Like it felt like we popped into the other guys for a second, whereas the rest of the movie was very like grounded, real action, the helicopter chase, even with the missiles and the everything, like, and Nazi gold, like that all felt real. And then this cartoony bull.
Yeah, this cartoony bull, and like it's not even the bull. Like the thing that really was noticeable to me in the scene was the lighting was fucked because they were using, I think, actual footage maybe of a stadium. But it was like a stadium in midday, like midday sun. Everything is almost washed out. Everything is so bright, and there are no shadows anywhere because sun is fucking everywhere. It's reflecting off the ground. And the studio lighting they had on The Rock and Ryan was like lighting on one side to have that dramatic shadows over half of their face. And in all of the other CGI scenes when it's indoors and there's like one window, it looks cool and it's motivated and it makes sense. And then they just never changed that lighting on the actors to match the environment. So it really does look like you can, and it's weird how the brain, even when you like don't know to notice lighting, will subconsciously pick up on that, where it's like, why the fuck do they look like they're not physically there? And even if you don't know, there's some lizard part of your brain that's just like, that's not real.
Uncanny Valley. Nope.
Don't like this. Yeah, and it's just like the sun wasn't on their faces.
And what I found weird about the bull, especially, was I don't know why they couldn't just like it's hard to get bulls to do exactly what you want them to do, but the bull was literally never in frame with anyone except for when it hit the Rock. So I don't know why they just didn't film a real bull instead of being like, we're gonna CG a bull completely on its own in a corner, like no handlers. The Rock doesn't like hand fight the bull or hold it by the horns.
No other matador even does anything with the bull.
Yeah, like I think you could have just filmed a bull.
You could have
who
just
was about to charge.
Like honestly, like $1,000 you could get some stock footage of a bull.
There's bull stuff.
Like-
Bulls have been around.
Yeah,
They've been charging. Like, it did
Shouldn't-
feel... Oh,
shouldn't be that hard to get
It also
right.
felt like one of my favorite Bugs Bunny cartoons, but that didn't fit the tone of this movie.
I feel you
The
there.
bull- the
It did
bull
also
Bugs
remind
Bunny
me.
cartoon?
Yeah, I do know the one, and it reminded me of that too.
Which is very funny, but not what this movie was.
No.
That would have been very, like, Hitman's Bodyguard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely felt like a goofier, kind of like Will Ferrell-y movie when they got to that section. And then it does shift tones at that point in the movie, but into like a silly National Treasure hunt for gold type of movie, not in that we're a Will Ferrell comedy now and someone gets gored by a bull and we're going to have like slapsticky comedy. It's not quite that.
It is not quite that. One of my final things to talk about for Red Notice, I would have to say, is I did laugh very, very hard, and this was the weirdest thing in this movie, even more than the bull, when Ed Sheeran fought a cop.
It's not bad.
While screaming, I was in Game of Thrones.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty damn funny.
It's pretty good. That is some top-notch comedy. Ed Sheeran is very good at being the butt of the joke. He is the Ryan Reynolds of celebrity male singers.
That is true. I can't tell if he's an idiot or a genius. Like, I can't tell if he is an idiot or a guy who just doesn't care. You know, like when you've got a ketchup tattoo, I'm like, are you a moron? Or do you just like not care about society anymore? I don't get it.
Because Ed Sheeran also has a very big role in the movie Yesterday.
I
which
did know that.
You didn't see
Yeah.
it, but I saw. And it's like, that is a movie where he agrees that he's not the best songwriter in the world because the guy who is writing Beatles songs secretly is.
Yeah.
But it also means if the guy isn't a fake, then he is the best songwriter in the world. So I'm like, I don't know if this is you like taking a hit or being like, I am the best songwriter in the world in the movie Yesterday.
Right.
And then we get here and like a billionaire has paid for him to perform. He's like, I'm going to fight a cop with my guitar. And also a joke that I think works on paper though, but didn't quite land was the daughter not even caring about the $300 million eggs.
I think it was edited poorly. There was something that didn't land, but it is, I think, very funny. The idea that like a dad got you a very extravagant old world gift and you just kind of think it's cool that Ed Sheeran's playing your wedding. Like, you do not care about the ancient Nazi relic. Why would you? Ed Sheeran's here. That's fun. Like, that is a very funny joke and I think a very real thing.
It's very funny, oddly relatable. It sounds exactly like something a billionaire would do who named his daughter Cleopatra, and something that a daughter who had been named Cleopatra would do and be like, fuck, I hate that I'm named Cleopatra.
Right.
This is so embarrassing. You got me the Cleopatra eggs? Like, that's like if someone gets me like Diana barbecue sauce. Like, I'm like, it's just my name.
It's just like that.
It's
just like
on
that.
the billionaire equivalent
I was
level,
thinking
actually,
how it was just like that.
You know how everyone gets me that Diana barb. But here's the thing.
You
People-
also have the name of a princess, and the metaphor you went for was Diana barbecue sauce.
What products are there for Princess Diana?
You could have gotten like the princess's jewels from like a royal ceremony. Like,
No, because I'm going with my economic level compared to hers.
you couldn't even imagine up for the hypothetical.
No, because
Diana barbecue sauce.
that's the extreme.
Okay.
But here's the thing. This
Yes.
is what I'm saying.
Lay it on
Even
me.
with like Wonder Woman's name Diana and Princess Diana and Diana barbecue sauce, people don't buy me gifts based on the fact that my name is Diana. So you should not get your 16-year-old daughter a $300 million present based on the fact that her name's Cleopatra. But also, I've never even tried Diana barbecue sauce. Is it good?
I hope to God that when the day comes that we get married, at our wedding, your father gifts you a box of Diana barbecue sauce in front of everyone. And is like, like your own name.
And then
The thing we were all definitely
thinking
thinking.
of. And then I walk away because the Backstreet Boys are here.
Yes.
And I would like to watch them perform. And I relate with this girl now. I get that.
Okay.
Much more exciting than 3 old dusty eggs.
Woo! But yes, it's a fun joke on paper. It doesn't land in the film.
Something about
I
it
agree
didn't
with
work. Yeah, I don't know if it was The Rock and Gal Gadot's reaction or just Yeah, something about the edit didn't land.
I think, and maybe I just kind of like forgot or missed a setup line or two. I did not realize that it was this guy's daughter as well. Like,
I did know that.
you did know that? Okay, so
Because that was why there was like a time limit, because it was a present for her birthday.
I knew it was a gift for the wedding, but I didn't know it was like a father to a daughter. So it was just like a random guy talking and then a bride running away. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going on here or what the implication is supposed to be.
I think my big thing was she ran away because it was Ed Sheeran and she was excited, but I am not so attuned to Ed Sheeran's voice, and I thought it was Ryan Reynolds interrupting the wedding. Because you just hear someone come on the microphone and he's like,
They
hey.
cut to visibly Ed Sheeran pretty quick, though, I think.
Not so quick that the joke was clear. Like, clear that quickly. Like, I think if he'd come out as he was speaking, would have been a little better. Because in my head, I'm like, in time for Ryan Reynolds to get revenge, so he's going to be here. I'm thinking about Ryan Reynolds, and I'm not thinking about Ed Sheeran.
Yeah. The movie's counting on you not thinking about Ed Sheeran until that moment comes, for sure.
I'm constantly not thinking about Ed Sheeran.
The
movie was pretty safe in that regard.
That's pretty good in that regard. But yeah, fun. Like, I like that little cameo from him. Should have been fun. Should have been more funny on paper, but it just didn't quite land.
Didn't quite land. But like pretty much every other sequence is very funny. Everything works. Yeah, I think that didn't land for me, and Gal Gadot alone in an office. And the rest of the movie was...
Yeah, I would say, for me, it's just bull scene and drone shots are the two things that tired me.
Even with the bull scene looking bad, I liked it.
I mean, the Rock and Ryan Reynolds are still selling the shit out of a whole scene. Like, they're selling the hell out of everything, for sure. They're putting their whole back into this movie, 100%. All right, well, and then that's going to be it for Red Notice. Let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything? But before we do ask that final question, we want to give a thank you to another wonderful sponsor of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at Batman: The Audio Adventures with a few words about them. Bruce Wayne may appear to be a wealthy playboy, but beneath this facade, his true identity is that of the Batman, waging an endless war against crime. Join the Caped Crusader in Batman: The Audio Adventures, the first scripted audio original featuring Batman and his villainous rogues gallery in a world premiere story of life and death in Gotham City, debuting exclusively on HBO Max.
Starring Jeffrey Wright as Batman and a who's who of incredible Saturday Night Live alums, this rollicking adventure told across 10 episodes is written and directed by Emmy winner Dennis McNicholas, includes devilishly delightful original music by Doug Bossy, and performances by Rosario Dawson, John Leguizamo, Chris Parnell, Melissa Villaseñor, Seth Meyers, Jason Sudeikis, Brooke Shields, Fred Armisen, and many, many more. Go to hbomax.com/Batman Audio Adventures for more and stream Batman: The Audio Adventures only on HBO Max.
And thank you, Batman The Audio Adventures, for sponsoring this episode.
Thanks, Batman.
And before we get into what would we change about Red Notice, we will remind you, as we do every week, to please subscribe, follow, rate, review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your fine podcasts. It helps us move up the charts. It helps us find new listeners. It's a free way to support the podcast. Really, subscribe and review, or tweet, social media, tell your friends about the show. Those are the two ways we find new listeners, and that makes a big difference in our lives.
It makes a huge difference. Leave us a review, then check the charts, look at us climb, and know that you are the ones who did it.
Huzzah!
You sent us to the heavens, and we soared like a drone. And Andrew was like, no, not like a
No,
drone.
I'm too dizzy.
No, put
I'm
me down.
too dizzy, but I appreciate what all of you have done.
But we still want the reviews, but he's dizzy.
It's. I know every podcast tells you to do this because and they tell you to do this because it's important to every podcast. So it takes a couple minutes out of your day. It's a free way to support something that you love. Don't just do it for us. Do it for a couple of your favorite podcasts that you listen to, or do it for them and not us. I don't really care how you live your life, but support the things that you love in free and easy ways to do it, just by hitting follow and leaving a rating and review for the things that you enjoy in life. And as well, if you do want to support the podcast monetarily and get cool bonuses for doing that, you can head over to Patreon, which is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe to people like us and you can get cool bonuses for doing it. You can subscribe at whatever level is in your budget. So whatever you can afford, you can do $1 a month, $5 a month, 10, 20, whatever it is that's in your budget. You can cancel or change it at any given time. So if you're feeling 10 this month, you can do 10. Next month, maybe you got to cancel. Maybe you want to go down to $1. Do that. all those $1 add up too. Never feel silly about doing $1 because if everyone who listened to this podcast was a $1 patron, it would literally change our lives and completely revitalize and change how we do everything here at the network. So head over, check it out. If you do subscribe at the $10 hero level, you get exclusive episodes of this podcast every single month.
And you get access to all the old episodes. So you get so many more episodes of Talking Superheroes about a topic we never cover on the regular podcast. Full-length episodes, ad-free. This month we did Ghostbusters 2.
Ghostbusters 2.
Busted made us feel goo.
Yeah, Busted made us feel goo. So we did one on the podcast already. We're doing Ghostbusters Afterlife next week. But if you want to hear us talk about Ghostbusters 2, you got to become a hero level patron.
Gotta become a hero level.
You gots to. So head on over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Have a look, determine what's in your budget. Once again, you can cancel or change at any time. If it's not in the budget, we understand, but give a little if you can. Patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And now we will ask the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
My changes are mostly related to the end. I talked very early in the episode about how I didn't like the ending particularly well, and I kept off on the specifics because I knew that would be my change.
Understood.
So here we are. I do not think the Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, Rock friendship at the end works at all. Like, he definitely still would not trust these people. He would not want to work with these people, even if he has one-upped them in the end and they've all lost. Did not work for me at all. My change is I think you need to still have, after the trust is broken, you need to have the trust regained. The trust is broken and the trust is never regained in this current version. So I think they need to reveal in the bunker that Gal Gadot and The Rock are together before the cops show up. So they reveal that because they've got Ryan Reynolds on the ropes. There's no reason to keep pretending before the cops show up. The cops, they have not called these cops. So they reveal it then. He is betrayed. The cops show up and all three of them escape because they all three are thieves. And then we have more of an action sequence to have like sacrifice plays or like life-saving plays where trust can be regained, so that then it does make sense at the end when they come together. I would like something along the lines of, I've pointed out several times that The Rock and Gal Gadot kind of protect Ryan Reynolds through all this. Like, he never gets hurt, he doesn't get tortured. They're kind of keeping him safe and just using him for information. I would like them to kind of like let him get away with the egg. Like during like some kind of face-off with the cops, they like go one way and they're like, take the egg and go, and he gets to regain their trust that way. And then at the end, they have 2 eggs and he has 1, and he comes back and they sell them all together, and they get a group win. And they each have an egg. They had to do it as a team. They can work together now. So I think that would be very much more emotionally satisfying to me. They do each win that way, and trust is regained.
Okay.
And it's not like that many changes. You reveal a scene earlier that you're together, and then the action sequences can mostly still go the same way. You just don't screw Ryan Reynolds over and then leave him to die in the desert. Like, he could have died in that forest. He was tied to a tree.
In a random forest, where he will just either starve or die of thirst, or
an animal's gonna come and
get
eat him.
Yeah.
Really mean.
Yeah.
That's not just leaving him in a prison where they have to feed you and like give you warmth and stuff.
To die.
That's the middle of an impossible to find secret bunker. So the trust is regained in my version, and the friendship is renewed.
Interesting. Okay.
Need that trust regained, or it doesn't work. Doesn't work for me. What about you, Andrew? What would you change?
Similar to you, I would change the ending. I never thought about it from a trust angle. I thought about it more from a Ryan Reynolds needs to win and get at least 1 up on them.
He never does get 1 up on them. It sucks.
Because I think it does end on, they're trying to reiterate this theme that he mentions earlier where he's like, I don't need to win for you to lose, and all I care about is you losing. So it ends with like, The Rock and Gal Gadot not having any money, and the cops are coming to get them. So they lose, I guess. And that's good enough for Ryan. But I'd like to see him actually win as a character. What I would like to see is that, we cut to the wedding in Cairo, and here are the 3 eggs. And then what you were describing, what you thought was happening when you heard Ed Sheeran's voice, Ryan Reynolds is interrupting the wedding and does the Coke can trick again.
Ooh, love it.
And melts one of the eggs. And then we can get the flashback to him underwater, leaving one of the eggs in the lake and taking out a fake egg.
Oh,
And then he comes up above the water holding the fake egg.
What a time to do a switch.
And then once he escapes, he dives back under the water and gets the real egg. So him doing a switch out, leaving them with a fake egg, then showing up at the presentation and doing the Coke trick, presenting the real egg and be like, I don't know, I guess I'll take a third of the pay. And like looking up at Gal Gadot and The Rock and being like, and then we can have a scene afterwards and be like, it seems like we're partners. Like that, like we all got paid equally for this job. Now we're partners. It doesn't necessarily solve the trust problem that you're bringing up. I do like that as an issue that needs to be resolved. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective, but I think that this would at least put them on professionally equal footing in terms of like we might do a sequel or we're going to go on more adventures.
I like that a lot. That's a very good time for Ryan to have switched the eggs. I think that really, really works. Yeah. I think that works just great.
Yeah.
Yeah, a quicker version than me. But like they definitely could still work together after that, and they'd have money.
Yes, they would all have money to do adventures.
They'd have no reason to be mad at each other. It's like we all have $100 million.
Yeah.
Let's go have fun.
And we like having fun, and we like having a contest to be, and like that could even be the thing of like Ryan Reynolds at the end being like, now we don't know who's the best. We all won this one, so who's the best? To be like, well, we all got money, but who's the best? Let's go do a contest or something like that. Like that's the fun of these three.
Actually, I can see that. Fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it too.
All right,
I think
other than the ending, we really liked this movie.
I really did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But that's what happens when you get the best possible leading actors for your movie to carry the whole thing for you.
It's a great choice.
It's a really good choice.
If you have the option.
If you have the option to get The Rock, just get The Rock.
Just get The Rock. If you have the option to get Ryan Reynolds, just get Ryan Reynolds.
Just get Ryan Reynolds or Emily Blunt. They're both going to function as well.
Guys, I love Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise is an absolute banger.
Jungle Cruise.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for this week on Red Notice. We're going to be back next week talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. And once again, if you want to hear more Ghostbusters talk, Ghostbusters 2 is our Patreon exclusive, available over at patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. So next week, Ghostbusters Afterlife is what we'll be talking about. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach me on Twitter at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can reach me at Words of Diana.
And you can reach both of us at From Superheroes. And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.